yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says 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 yes, nobody, 'cause He's in control. There's no limit to what you can do, 'cause it all belongs to you. Yes, it all belongs to you. Now, Russia, know you're almighty and all powerful, and it all belongs to you, and it all belongs to you. There's no limit to what you can do, 'cause it all belongs to you. Yes, it all belongs to you. Now, Russia, know you're almighty and all powerful, all belongs to you. Yes, it all belongs to you. The reason why we need churches need church ministry business plan, including the vision, the mission, the objectives, and the goals, and the strategies, how they're going to achieve it, beginning with marketing strategies. Nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, 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 nobody can say no. You know, He's with me. 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 I hope you guys understand. The song is the song is just finished. Okay. Church ministry operating strategy. It is the center of overall church ministry because it is discuss and explain the activities, that the church engage in from the first day of establishment until forever. Okay. For example, the first thing that the church organization must do before it starts its service and activity is to meet its legal and lawful requirement and obligation, depending on the country and the city where the church is located. As we discussing this one in general term, because and that's meant wherever you are, wherever your church is, in the world, it is obvious that you will be registered. You will be required to be registered, your church organization, in the city that you're operating or in the country that you're operating in. That's the reason actually I produced this this idea and this church ministry business plan in order to help many churches around the world to become effective, to become relevant, and to change people's life in a positive way and make a positive impact in the world through the gospel. So yes, it will be different from country to country, from city to city. So as I said, church ministry is a non-profit organization and a social enterprise that exists not to generate profit, but to benefit society and preach the gospel and change people's life in a positive way. So the church
even though it is not there to generate profit, but it requires money, just like any other non-profit organization like the Red Cross, the World Vision, the United Nations, um, Salvation Army, all the non-profit organization and charity organization that in the world, even though they require money in order to operate and to fund their activities, and their operations, they are not there to, their motive, it is not to make profit, but it is to help society and help people through salvation, through healing, through forgiveness, through deliverance, through preaching peace, justice, and unity among people of the world. So, church ministry leaders must determine the legal and legitimacy of their church operating in their home state before embarking on operation. That is very critical. If you are a church leader, you are a church minister, and you are already operating a church, you must obviously aware of this. And if you are a minister who is new, a church leader, a Christian who is new and thinking about starting a church, know that actually you are required to register your church. You register your church ministry in your city, in the country that you're operating in order to recognize legally and to be legitimate by the authorities, because it is requirement. It sounds like something that is obvious, but sometimes people do not know that it is not just to be legitimate, but it is it gives you recognition that you are official organization, you are a formal organization, not just something. It offers the church ministry the security, the assurance against people or group of people who may want to exploit or take advantage of the law and disrupt the church ministry. I'm saying this knowing that actually there are countries where there is persecution. There are countries where the churches or Christians are being targeted because of preaching of the gospel. And sometimes if you are registered with the government or with the authorities, then there is no one actually will be able to exploit or take advantage, in order to disrupt the church activities or close down the church, thinking that what you guys are doing, it is illegal. But you have to have formal papers that recognize you are an registered and official organization, and you are a law-abiding organization as well. And that sometimes people don't want to do that and get into trouble, and it is not a good thing. Even the Bible also says that we should follow the law. Remember, we live in two worlds. We live in physical world here, and we live in a spiritual world. So it is the right thing to follow the rules as a church and as a Christian in general. It also shows that church leaders and are law-abiding citizens, and the church as well is law-abiding institution and organization. I just mentioned that. Additionally, the church registration makes it easier to be identified by individual or other organizations that might want to do business with the church, including government agencies, businesses, and other non-profit organizations. If you are a registered organization, people will not be afraid, to do business with you. This including government agency. For example, if you need some assistance or help from the government, they will like to know what, if you are an official organization, you know, what what are rights, you know, what authorities that you have, you know, in order to do business with you. Because churches, as I said, they are a charity organization, they are a non-profit organization, and sometimes they might require some funding, or donation, or do some fundraising. And all this, it's something to do with legality. If you are not a registered organization and recognized church ministry, you know, by the state, by the city, then it will be difficult for you to do business with some people who wanted to help you or wanted to assist the church, because they wanted to believe that you are doing the right thing, you are doing the good thing. You know, sometimes also some business wanted to partner with the church, but they wanted to their finances to go into a good cause. They don't want it to be misused, their money or their funds to be misused in a corrupt way, or in misuse way. It is also important that the church ministry open a bank account that will facilitate easy and quick, secure financial transaction. This is very important, you know, as a church, because every business organization nowadays, you know, whether they are for-profit or non-profit, they have a legitimate bank account with a well-known financial institution, other than an individual bank account, because there is a difference between an entity that is an entity and that's an organization name, because a business organization is an entity by itself. You know, in the business world, everyone understands there is a separate between the owners, managers, employees, and the business, because the business has to have its own bank account, and that is apply as well to the church organization. The church organization, and that's the purpose and the reason for registration. When you are registered, you know, it would be easy for you to go and open the bank account with a financial institution. They will require that registration papers. This is available in some countries, but it might not be available in your country. So you could actually be flexible in terms of this when it comes to your country. You know, whatever is required there, it might be different than the country you are in. This is because in some countries, most financial transactions must be performed through financial institutions such as bank or credit institutions. Yes, so in many countries nowadays, you know, most of the financial transactions, including deposit, payment, you know, donation, fundraising, purchases, you know, are done through bank institution rather in cash, you know. Maybe there's some people in some countries, they still you know, operating in cash. That is because lack of facilities and infrastructure, and that is understandable. But where there is those infrastructures and services, financial service institutions are available, it will be easier to perform financial transaction through the bank or through the credit institution. Church ministry also may want to obtain public liability insurance if they can afford it. You know, there is small churches, there are larger churches. You know, financial public liability insurance, it is very important for churches to obtain. This is to cover for property damage in the church. Yeah, anything, just in case, you know, something happened. But sometimes people exploit this this information for their advantage, because they don't know, they don't understand the meaning of the church. You know, I'm talking here in Australia, and we know, you know, there are so many churches here in Australia. We have Catholic churches, we have Pentecostal churches, Anglican, Protestant, you know, and then we have those small churches, Sudanese churches. The reason actually I created this, it is to educate and make an awareness about what is the church is, you know, and what does it take to be a church. So public liability insurance, it is very important if you are going to establish a church to be legitimate. You know, yes. This is highly recommended for large churches that are expected to engage in many activities that will attract large gatherings, because it provides the organization with coverage for property damage or injuries to people within the premises. Yeah, you know, public liability insurance, it is very important. You know, even if you are a business organization, all the business organization, they understand it, whether they're profit or non-profit organization. It is very important to obtain. It is not very expensive. It is very is a small amount monthly. But remember, the church is not a house. The church is a designated building where people go and pray and worship there. It's not a house. It's different than a house. So, and we know, you know, we understand the example of churches such as Hillsong Church, you know, Anglican Church, Catholic Church. We all know them in Australia here, and maybe in your own country you will understand where people come and gather in a large number. But you know, there are some people who exploit the information for some personal interest. Okay, so we talk about church registration, church bank account, and church public liability. These are very critical things when you are coming to establish a church or open a church everywhere in the world. Church ministry resource. So church ministry resource include people, church ministers and leaders who are responsible for managing, operating, and maintaining the church ministry successfully for a longer term. Yes, you know, when a church comes to operate, it must have resource. This include assets, you know, church assets, equipment, machineries, you know, that the church needs in order to operate effectively and successfully. So the first resource are human resource. Obviously, the church requires people in order that will be responsible for managing and operating, maintaining the church activities successfully for a longer term. These include church leaders, church administrators, leaders of different departments. When I say church leaders, include pastors, ministers, and etc. So human resource, they provide a spiritual, they provide a spiritual in terms of prayers, training, physical, using their ability, gift, and talent to manage and operate the church ministry effectively. So church leaders of various departments, they provide the church with the spiritual, they meet the church spiritual needs, including praying and training, and discipleship and preaching the gospel. So all these are activities, are the responsibilities and the roles that church leaders play in the church ministry. They do this using their abilities, talents, and gift to be able to manage the church ministry effectively and successfully. The technical resources include qualification, knowledge, skills, experience to manage and operate the church ministry professionally. The human resource also, they have technical resource, and that is their expertise, their knowledge, and their skills and experience that they use into managing and operating the church effectively. And then you have financial resource. The church also requires financial resource in a form of contribution, donation, fundraising, in order to help the church fund its activities. The physical resource will include physical assets, equipment, tools, cars, computers that the church will require in order to operate the church effectively. So this range from the church property, that is the house, the building, the church building, whether it's leased or is acquired, church equipment, including the vehicle, furnitures, and computers. All these things, these are assets that the church require in order to operate the church effectively. Physical resource. Church also can have intangible resources, including church website, brand, and patent, positive organization culture. Intangible resources, these are the resources that you cannot really see physically, but they are there. The church must have a website, for example. If it's a larger church, they can have a brand, that is well-known brands, and a positive culture. A positive culture, that is the culture that contribute into where there is love, where there is peace, where there is a social responsibility, where people are following legal, moral, and ethical practices in the church. Is where there is no violence, where there is no abuse, where there is no persecution, bully, discrimination. All these things, that's a positive culture of the church organization. But these are tangible resources that we are talking about. Before the church ministry commences, also, members must secure a church venue to conduct its activities. Yeah, it is very important. We already discussed the thing. So when we talk about church ministry business plan, we are looking into a church that is at its beginning, church that is starting from the scratch, from the beginning, from nothing. It can also be applied to an existing church because, there are some ideas here that an existing church that can apply into their church operation if they are not already applying them, and they can see the changes. So when a church is starting from the beginning, the first thing it must look for it is the venue or church building. Whether it's something that is acquired, if the church has sufficient or enough money, they can buy it, or if they do not have enough money, they can lease it, temporarily for the use until they obtain the permanent one in the future. But all these things must be discussed and put into a church ministry action plan. So, for example, who is responsible for finding the place where it's going to be? Like we said, place can be a strategic place for marketing church services. When a place is very strategic, it can help the church be accessible and by many people. How much, so yeah, the amount of the money is very important. Whether it's very expensive or cheap, it must be put into consideration based on the budget available. How the money are going to be raised, in order to lease or to acquire the church building. Are they going to be raised by the church congregation, church members, or are they going to be borrowed, from the bank? Yeah, some churches nowadays, they can actually obtain a bank loan from the bank, and that is the reason for church registration. When you as a person, as an individual, a business person, when you go to the bank and you wanted to borrow money, there are some document that the banks ask for, and sometimes if you are an individual, they ask for your identification, yes, and your source of income, evidence of your income. Same thing apply for a business organization and a church ministry as well. If a church has the ability to be able to obtain loan, it must register, and that is the church identification, and that is the bank is going to require when they go. And borrowing money also from the bank require security and that collateral in the business world. Something that if the church is small church, does not have the collateral or security, often it's in the form of assets, in the form of money, property. Sometimes if a church does not have that, then it will not be able to borrow money. But we will discuss that in the financial strategy later. So, depending on the strategic location chosen, the church venue must be convenient, accessible to public transportation with sufficient parking space and nearby essential service. All this must be considered. We already discussed that the location of the church must be strategic, convenient, and accessible to public transportation to allow people to come by train, by bus, by tram, and even by cars. Yes. So before commencing the church operation, also church members must ensure that the venue is equipped with necessary church equipment to allow the running of activities. Yes, when before you start the church, you must ensure that actually you have the church equipment in the church in order to allow the smooth operating of the church activities. This means it must be fitted with seating capacity and arrangement according to the number of the people planned. Yeah, if you are planning to start a church with I don't know how many members, 500 members, you have to have a sufficient amount of chairs that in the building where people will come and sit there. So seating capacity according to the number of people planned. It does not matter if they come on the first month, on the first year, but if your goal is to reach 500 people, then you have to have that. And then there are some activities or some things that you will do in order to reach your goal, and we already discussed them from the beginning of our discussion. First, about the vision and mission and goals and objective, and then marketing. All these are the strategies that you do in order to reach your goal. It means designing and creating a space for a platform. Yeah, of course. We all know we don't need to discuss this. Even sometimes you need a podium, so somewhere where people can preach, So, and you want a stage, So if it's not built in already, then you will have to build it, because sometimes if you acquire the property, you have the right to do all the modification and the changes you want. But if you are leasing, there is not much you can do except if allowed by the landlord. So you need speakers, you need music instrument, sound system, all these things, good sound system, a microphone, and so forth. So other equipment may be considered essential to helping in effective and efficient management and estimation of the church ministry. Include computers. You will be able to need computers in the church. Then telecommunication, Wi-Fi, internet. All these things. They are very good. They can help you. So this is important in the technology world where everything is done digitally, including recording, storing, and maintaining the important data of the church organization. So computers are very essential, for a church organization in order to record and store and maintain some important data of the church organization, including member details, reports of meetings, conferences, Bible studies. All these things are very essential, to be recorded, and also financial, to document some financial transactions are very essential. The church leadership and management can have a notebook for manual recording and keeping of record keeping of important information and preservation of the data for backup. Yeah, the church can have, you can have notebooks or diary alongside the computer, because sometimes you need some backup and you needed to put those one in the notebook or in the diary. Other equipment include tables and chairs and recording equipment such as video cameras, camera stand for recording important events and services. Yeah, so these are all important: tables, chairs, and recording equipment, including cameras and camera stand. And also a projector in order to project a PowerPoint presentation. Therefore, church members can operate within their budget and accept the condition provided within the lease agreement with a slight or minimal operation. Yeah, like I said, there are two options. If the church has sufficient amount of money, they can acquire the church building. If they do not, they can lease the church property, the church building, where they can conduct church activities. Okay, church operating strategies also can include the church activities and the program proposed to be engaged in. We already discussed about the church activities like Sunday church services, Bible study meetings, Bible study meeting, conferences, revival, church leaders training and discipleship. All this must be put it into details, and as to they can include the days, the time, and who is responsible for leading and directing those activities. This gives clear guidance and direction regarding where the organization is heading and how it is operating in terms of achieving its goals and objectives. So when the church put on a timetable regarding the church activities and programs and the names of the individual or the leaders who are responsible for leading those activities, it makes it easier and simple for people to follow, these simple guidelines and policies and procedures and activities, and makes it easier for church leaders to be able to evaluate and to measure their progress in terms of achieving church ministry goals and objectives. So, like we said, church Sunday service are significant activity in which the church can demonstrate love, compassion, kindness to people. Church Sunday church service is one of the main and major church activities that the church conduct. During that, there is preaching happen, there is teaching, there is salvation. People are healed, people are delivered. There is training happens. People show compassion and kindness to church members, even to the new members. So there's a lot of things that happen during Sunday service. That's a fellowship, that's happened Yeah, and that is an opportunity where the church minister, a pastor, can be able um, to to evaluate the progress, of the church so far during the week or during the month. The purpose of the teaching and preaching during Sunday service is to encourage, to inspire, and to comfort and to comfort church members. Church leaders can administer baptism and communion to the congregation during Sunday service, provided they have undertaken the required training and teaching. So sometimes also, Sunday church service, people can be baptized, or there is a communion service that can be offered. So there is a lot that happen on Sunday. Church leaders can also pray and intercede for church members' various needs and desires. So during Sunday church service, people can also pray for their various needs and for one another. Church Sunday service can either be in the morning or evening, depending on the church circumstances and needs of the church organization. Yes, church Sunday church ministry can be flexible, depending on the availability and the convenience of the members. So the church can be either in the evening or either in the morning or in the afternoon, depending, the time is also. So the church service can be organized in the church venue in the location that is acquired or leased, that is attractive, convenient, accessible to the members of the public and agreed upon. So we all know, church Sunday service usually is conducted in the church venue, in the location that we already discussed: strategic, convenient, attractive, and accessible. Remember, we talk about marketing, that and how it's important, essential, making the church attractive in terms of decoration, in terms of making maintenance and all the things, ideas, creativity. It must all goes into the church. Church Sunday service can be organized more than once daily if the church is large with limited capacity and space. So the church also, if it's a large church and the venue is very small, that will not accommodate many people, they can be divided, for some to come in the morning and others come in the evening. But if the church is small, it just can be just one service a day. That is enough. Another option as well, the church can branch. If the church venue is very small, they can branch, and find another location somewhere, and that is will require some discussion and agreement, by the church management and administration. So yes, as I said, church Sunday service can be organized according to age segment, such as Sunday school for children and youth service if the church is large with capacity and space. However, for small churches, special arrangement can be made. So Sunday church service, there are churches that I have attended, like Hillsong. You have children church is separate, youth church is separate. So actually this one is a very good strategy that can be replicated by the churches that are large. Instead of putting children and young people with the adult together, it is not really helpful, because children sometimes can make noise and can be disruptive. So they can, the church can create a separate children ministry church, Sunday school for them, where they can go and be trained somewhere else, so people can pay attention to the church service. Okay, another church activity, it is the church ministry conference and church ministry conference, evangelical outreach and revival. So church activity, another major church activity where the church can create and deliver value and help church grow include periodic conferences, revival, and evangelical outreach. Church can engage in conference periodically, that is maybe every 6 months or every year. Revival and outreach program, maybe every month or every 3 months, depending on the needs. So this is very essential, all these are operating, church ministry operating strategies, activities, in an effort to achieve goals and objectives and realize church vision and mission, and of course change people's life in a positive way and preach the gospel. Yes, so that is the end goal. So church conferences, evangelical and revival program can be indoor or outdoor gathering event that the church organizes for publicity to attract many people to come and receive healing, salvation, and deliverance through teaching and preaching of the Bible. So conference is any evangelical programs and revival are indoor or outdoor. It can be indoor or outdoor, depending on the church capacity and church ability and resources as well. So it's a large gathering program that is organized by the church where many people come to receive healing, deliverance, and teaching and preaching of the gospel as well, and salvation. The purpose is to introduce Jesus Christ to the general public and who may not usually come to Sunday church service. So the purpose of conference and revival evangelical outreach is to attract new people, especially the public. Sometimes during this program, there are new people that come for the first time to come and hear the Bible and hear the gospel being preached, and they can actually be converted to receive salvation and healing and deliverance, and that's the purpose. So church must engage in that type of a program and activity in order to be known and to campaign and to attract large members in order to grow the church and expand. The church ministry can engage in a massive campaign through promotion and publicity to a large audience to come and listen to the teaching of Jesus and the gospel. So when this program actually is organized, that's where the advertising and marketing is really important. If the church has sufficient funds, it can campaign and do a lot of marketing in order to let a lot of people and the public know that this program is happening in certain place in a certain time. Yes. So this event involved more of preparation and planning spiritually, physically, and financially. Of course, the church leadership and management will be able to plan and prepare for the success and for the effectiveness of this program, financially, physically, and spiritually. Spiritually through prayers, physically through the attendance, and financially through financial contribution. Church leaders must pray for the program success and contribute finances required for marketing, advertising, transportation, and hiring of venue if it is not free, and other expenses. So all this what I just explained. Church leaders must be committed and diligent in participating in this program by being physically present for the success of the program. Church conferences are important for church growth and success because they help persuade and convince people about the gospel positive impact on people's life and society. When these large programs are organized, you have some strangers come in, some people who wanted to know, what does really church is all about. Are they really doing something positive for the society or not? You will be surprised. Even you will have a prime minister there or a member of the parliament coming just to listen. When you organize a conference in the park somewhere or in the large auditorium, it's very important because these people have the power and the influence in order to support something positive, but so this is an opportunity for churches to convince those kind of people who have the power and have the influence, to be able to either support the church or not, based on what they see and what they hear, being taught and being trained and being preached in the church. And that is what we talk about being legitimate, following the rules, and being ethical, and all these things. People who have received various miracles can become, So when miracles happen in those type of meetings, you will be surprised that, that is a positive feedback that will allow the people to join the church and become church members. Another church program and activity is Bible study, weekly Bible study. A church must conduct weekly Bible study. Weekly Bible is an essential church activity that church leaders must carry out periodically to achieve their vision and objective. Bible study is small group of church members who meet regularly to read, study, and discuss the Bible. So weekly Bible study, basically, it is different than church Sunday service, and it's different than conference and revival program, because it is a small group, consists of from 2 to 5. It can be as large as 25 people. It can be up to 50, but I don't know, sometimes because it is a very small group, it cannot reach up to 50, but 25 I think it's sufficient, because if it's become 50, that's the church. So they meet weekly to read, study and discuss the Bible. The people also meet to pray for one another. It is an opportunity for church to stretch its evangelical outreach to local community through its members who live in their location, introduce new people to the meeting, and introduce them to Jesus and the church. So the purpose of the Bible study, it is to keep people intact, and to keep people close to each other, to fellowship, and to encourage, because life is full of a lot of challenges and problems. So if the church allow church members to organize church weekly Bible study where they live, sometimes it can be happen in the houses, sometimes can happen in wherever people decided to do it, even in the workplaces. So yeah, it is an opportunity for people to pray for one another, to encourage one another. Yes, even invite some new people. If you have friends, colleagues who wanted to know about Jesus, you can invite them to a Bible study and introduce them to Jesus. And then they can make up their mind if they wanted to be Christian. So it is a good strategy for spreading the gospel, reaching more people, and helping the church grow. So it is another venue as well, another strategy of growing the church, because when new people are invited and they, and they are convinced, they are converted, they can come to church and become church member, and by that way the church will grow and expand. So those who live in a specific area and location can organize weekly Bible study group to discuss their interests and interests beside reading and study the Bible. So sometimes during Bible study, it is not only Bible, people discuss Bible and read the Bible. People, have issues. They have some questions in life, So this is an opportunity where people come and ask questions. Remember, church services, there is no opportunity. People don't ask questions during the church sermon while the pastor is preaching. I tried it one time, but it didn't work. So church Bible study is a good opportunity where if you have a question in the Bible or in life in general, you can ask in the Bible study group. You might be surprised, you will have an answer for that. And that is really important. If you have a concern, you want people to pray for you, this is a good opportunity as well. Okay, so weekly Bible study can be based on various segments, including geographic. It can be based on geographic. For example, if people who live in similar suburb, they can have the Bible study group. It can be based on demographic. People who are the same age, like young people, can have their own Bible study group. Women can have their own Bible study group. Men can have their own Bible study group. Business people can have their own Bible study group. Academic, yes, they can have their own Bible study group. Yeah, and you name it. So, for example, those who live in a specific area location can organize weekly Bible study to discuss their interests. Yeah, I just mentioned that. So different age group, gender can have their weekly Bible studies, such as youth, women, men, fellowship can meet, read, study, discuss the Bible topic, interest, and as well as pray for one another. Okay, you have another church program. Sometimes you have churches, ministries that are licensed to conduct weddings, So yeah, so this is another thing that the church activity that the church can conduct. You have Catholic, Anglican, Baptist, even Christian church nowadays, Pentecostal church conduct wedding for church members. So children birthday as well, and children dedication. So these are programs that the church can organize for its members, because church ministry leaders can conduct and organize wedding and children birthday and dedication for church members to help them celebrate this important event in their life. Yeah, church is a community, and whatever that concerns the member of the community, we must celebrate, we must participate, and this weddings, birthdays, dedication, children dedication are important and good opportunities that the church can celebrate. Usually can happen after Sunday service, because it shows that the church is concerned, the church care and love their members. So the church ministry is a social enterprise, so it can conduct weddings and children birthday for its members. This can be an awesome experience and a moment of jubilation and celebration that bring the church community together in the spirit of love, peace, and harmony. Yes, because it is a good opportunity to celebrate together and share love and peace and harmony and unity as well. The event can be a marketing opportunity when people are invited to come and attend their family members' event and then be introduced to the local church community and perhaps become church members. Yes, so when a church engages in these activities, wedding, birthdays, children dedication, even anniversaries, there's some new people that are invited. So when those people come and see that the church community, care about their members, they can become, church members. Another church activity that the church engage in, I'll be going very fast because we're running out of time. Church ministry can also engage in church leadership and choir training activity for personal, professional development and excellence. From time to time, the church ministry organization can conduct leadership training program where leaders of various departments are trained in all aspects of church management, operation, and maintenance. Church leadership training, it is very essential, that is for development, for growth, and for performance excellence, and this is applicable for all church departments, including the choir. So this can be a regular church meeting, usually weekly or monthly or quarterly. Church can decide to conduct leadership training either weekly. I don't think so, but if the church is really is able to do that, it can do. But monthly, I think it is reasonable. Can be quarterly as well, every 3 months. That's very important. The church leadership and management can meet to discuss and evaluate leadership performance and make recommendations for improvement to achieve the church ministry vision and objective. So the purpose of the training, it is to train and meet, discuss, and identify areas of improvement and recommend strategies for improvement, in order to deliver excellent church performance in every aspect of church ministry, and achieve goals and realize church mission and objective. Various church ministry departments, including management, administration, choir, welcome team, logistic, and venue management and maintenance, women, youth, and children ministry leadership, they can all be trained in all aspects of their responsibilities and duties for improvement, development, and performance excellence. Just as this what I said. Okay, church ministry distribution channel. So church ministry distribution channel means, where does the church conduct its activities? And we already mentioned that, but we'll just explain more. The church ministry distribution channel explains how the ministry will conduct most of its activities in the church venue, location, and logistics. We already discussed some of the church activities are conducted in the church, while others are conducted either indoors in the church or outside. For example, Sunday church service, that is no doubt about that. It is conducted in the church every week. While conference, revival, and outreach programs usually are large gathering events, sometimes the church cannot accommodate, so it will be reasonable to hire a large auditorium or take them into a larger space that is available in the stadium or in the park somewhere. Yeah, where many people will be able to come and meet there. You have a weekly Bible study. We already discussed. It is conducted either in the house or in the church, or is based on the members' discretion. Sometimes some people even meet on the coffee shop, in the restaurant. Some people who want, they can go to a restaurant and ask the restaurant, look, we'll be coming in the certain day, please, reserve for us some seats, and we'll be buying some coffee or tea or anything while we having some discussion and meeting. Some people do it in their houses, some in their office, in the workplace, depending on members' discretion. So large church gathering or event will be conducted outside the church if the church venue cannot accommodate. These include conference, evangelical outreach, and revival program. Bible study meeting will usually be conducted at the church members' discretion and convenience and availability. For example, Bible study meeting can be conducted in the house, office, or church venue, depending on the church members' discretion. The church ministry will also utilize technology by streamlining its activities and service visually online through various social media networks. So the church also, nowadays, we have technology. So there are some churches that streamline, use the internet, on all the social media that are available in order to streamline, and to streamline the service online. So those who are in the remote area, those who are in far distance can attend or can watch or listen. This allows the church to reach large audience who are remote or unable to attend church service for one reason or another. Online church activities help the church advertise and promote its activities to new people who may not know about the church. So when the church actually streamlines its service through social media or any other internet service, it's a form of advertising and marketing as well. Sometimes some new people can come across the church service, and then they can identify, and if they have the chance, they can come and attend the church service. Church ministry can organize logistic and transportation for members who do not have the vehicles or access to public transportation. So large churches, sometimes they have transportation vehicle that are used for transporting members from house to the church. This is not for every church, but those who can afford, yes, they have. Like when I used to go to Hillsong, they have some buses that they can transport people from the city, to the church that is a little bit far from. It's about maybe 25 minutes. So it's very important, and vehicles also are very important sometimes to transport church equipment and supplies. If they they have a conference or outreach. So it's very important for church to have motor vehicle to transport equipment and deliver church supplies when required. Church ministry custom relationship. Church ministry must build and maintain a healthy and positive relationship with church leaders and members and stakeholders to achieve church vision and objective. Church ministry customer relationship is very important. It's called CRM, customer relationship management in the business world. Every organization must develop, build, and maintain a positive and healthy relationship with the customer, because that is the one that is helping you, your business. So same thing, a church ministry must have a healthy and positive relationship with its church congregation or members. For instance, church ministry customer relationship or members relationship can be established, managed, and maintained through secure membership database system. So this is the importance of having computers or notebook where the church ministry or church leaders can record and store and maintain church members' data, in order to use them for making informed and important decisions. Church leaders, members, and other relevant stakeholders' information can be collected, recorded, stored, periodically updated, and retrieved for important church ministry organization decision, policy, and problem-solving purpose. That is the reason, church leaders, members, and stakeholders. You have church stakeholders. These are very important information and data that must be recorded, collected, stored, and periodically updated and used when needed to make church organization policies, decision, and to solve any problem. This can be achieved manually by filling church ministry members and stakeholder contact details in the form. Form can be printed out and fill in the church members or leaders or stakeholder detail, or electronically through the church website if the church has a website. And that's the importance of church having a website, where a person details, contact details can be put in there and restored, and be updated periodically. The church ministry database can communicate important and relevant information to church leaders and members and stakeholders. So database is very important. For example, church ministry can contact people by phone, via email, or direct mail through a letter to invite, inform, and update them about the church news, operation, and progress. So through the database, you could be able to obtain some important information as a church ministry, as a church leader, and then you could communicate those important information with members, church leaders, and stakeholders, whether they are public, government, businesses, you name them, employees. You'll be able to communicate with them through phone if you have their phone numbers, through email if you have their email number, or send them a letter through the letterbox. And that's if you have their addresses, and that cannot be possible if you do not have an organized and reliable and secure database system where you recorded and collected and maintain and store those databases. So the church ministry customer set will also be established to receive and respond to church leaders, members, and stakeholder queries, feedback, and complaint for quality customer service, employee professional development, and organization performance excellence. So the purpose also for getting those church members, church leaders, and church ministry stakeholders, it is to receive and respond to their feedback and questions and complaint. These are very important. When some people think that when people complain, it is a negative thing, but it's not a negative thing. In fact, business organizations who understand this, they take customer feedback complaint as an input, that they can be received, analyzed, and discussed, and be taken seriously for improvement, for quality customer service, and for employees' professional development. Sometimes it can be because the church is not doing something right, because of the church leaders, church employees. Maybe the church performance, it is very poor. So that feedback, that complaint is very essential to take in and to make some improvement and deliver some excellent performance. I think we've come to an end. I thank you guys for this segment, church ministry business plan part 4. It has been a long one and a boring one, I must say, but I have to explain some things. Sometimes people assume that we know everything, but trust me, there are so many things that are wrong in our society, and we are here to fix them together. So I'm not saying that I know everything, but we are learning together. So please follow, share, and comment and give me some feedback. What do you think? Thank you very much, and see you next time.